Braun is such a big dude, and this wedding is in Orlando, and it's so fucking hot. So this dude has to get like 4 different custom-made suits done because he's gonna sweat through them throughout the whole fucking day. And I shit you not, like, I think we're in the hotel for, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes, and he's already gone through one. And I'm like, dude, well, like, it's like 10 a.m.
Hello everybody and welcome. It is episode 16 of That Sweet Pop. My name's Dion and and he is Brad Lewis. Brad, you have been once again going all around the country. The summer of cricket. What an advertisement for Test cricket. You watched a couple of days of cricket and a lot of runs and not many wickets and no result.
Mate, first of all, 16 episodes. Wow. Has the time flown by or what? But yeah, Dion, that was a bit of a punishing late sort of days 3, 4, and 5 from a perspective of some commentators who may or may not have been wanting to get home as soon as possible. But hey, look, that's the job, and we're pretty privileged to be able to do what we do in terms of cricket commentary. So look, I can't complain too much, mate. I get to watch sport for a living. So look, enjoyed it. But really, really excited to be here and chat to you. A lot has happened since our last episode. We've got some direction in terms of the next sort of big WWE event. AEW is heading towards World's End. There's some big things going on in Japan as well as we head towards the end of another legend of pro wrestling in Tanahashi and his last ever pro wrestling match. I mean, he is literally the John Cena of New Japan, right? Like he's the biggest name in Japanese wrestling. So she's a very, very busy time in the sport that we love, Dion. So and what you're as I look at this at the almost the middle of December, you're not that far away really from heading to Vegas for what's going to be I think a very, very important 2 days for WWE. Kind of feel like WrestleMania might be the reset from the post John Cena retirement tour onto the next generation, and Saturday night's main event looks like it might be the start of that reset.
Yeah, very much so. The puzzle pieces are starting to fall into place. But what we're going to do today is take a look at John Cena this year that was, with that one match to go. It is our top story. Can you believe it? This year hasn't quite flown by, but in some ways it has. It's certainly been a blur.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have a little bit of a catch up today, just to get our thoughts and our feelings and maybe our frustrations, the wins and losses of John Cena's final year in professional wrestling. You know, I look back to that very first WWE Raw on Netflix, and there was a bit of disappointment that Cena wasn't on that show. It was really the Royal Rumble that kicked things off for him, though, wasn't it? And there was some thought that maybe John was going to win the Royal Rumble this year. Of course, he did not. Let's kick off the conversation with that. Did that surprise you that he didn't win the Rumble? Obviously, once you get to Elimination Chamber and you start seeing the story take fold, you understand the direction that we were heading in. But still, was that a surprise to you that he didn't win the Rumble?
Yeah, and it was. It was. And look, if anyone who's listening to this podcast had Jey Uso on their bingo card for the Royal Rumble winner, I think you're probably telling porkies. Because I reckon the only person that did have Jey Uso on his bingo card was Triple H, right? It was Paul Levesque. And I remember the build up to that, and like all the wrestling podcasts that I listened, because we weren't a thing back then, Dion, but all the wrestling podcasts that I listened to, is talking about how like there's literally this is the hardest Rumble to pick in 5 years. Yes, John Cena is the favorite, but CM Punk was a favorite. Drew McIntyre was a favorite. Logan Paul was a favorite. You know, obviously John Cena, and there are a few more as well, including Seth and Roman, right? Like it was a star-studded Rumble. We had that moment in it, right, where back to back, you had Seth, John Cena, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, all coming out at the same time, right? It was awesome. It was epic. It was a great Rumble in the men's side. But I thought John Cena was going to win, and that we were heading towards Cody versus John Cena at WrestleMania. That's not the way they went. And I wonder in reflection, and I know that Triple H is in the business of building stars, but I wonder in reflection if that was his first mistake of 2026 when it came, 2025 when it came to the John Cena retirement tour, because there was certainly some backlash around the Jey Uso victory. A lot of people, but then as wrestling fans, Dion, do we book ourselves into a shoot where we believe what the dirt sheets are saying, and like, you know, Dave Meltzer or Sean Ross Sapp or whoever's reporting John Cena's going to win the Royal Rumble and meet Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania? Like, I wonder sometimes if we become disappointed because what we've been told by the dirt sheets, by the journalists, is not coming to fruition. But yes, I did think he was going to win, was really happy for Jay, and we got the shock value. And that's the other thing, is we always want to be surprised, but when we're like, well, I didn't want that to happen. You know, like, and then when WWE books safe, we're like, oh man, these guys book so safe. You know,
I thought it was a good way to start the Cena run, because you don't want him to have a year of just knocking down domino blocks left, right, and center.
A lot of people did, though.
Well, you're never going to please everyone all the time, right? But we've gone through such a period where John Cena would come back and lose and lose and lose to the point where, you know, it'd be very difficult for him to devalue his stock. But it was to the point where Cena came in, you know, he was going to put somebody over. So I thought it was a good way to start the year that, he is going to have to fight from the bottom. He didn't have to do that for long, though. This Elimination Chamber heel turn, the heel turn overall is going to be debated for decades to come, I feel.
Yeah.
But man, wasn't the Elimination Chamber a fantastic reset of Cena? Let's forget about what happened after there for a second. But the Elimination Chamber, him winning the Elimination Chamber match, then the post Cody Rhodes, you know, when The Rock came out, I'm just feeling it all over again. I'm seeing the look in the eyes. I'm seeing the nut shot. I'm seeing that camera shot. It was a beautiful thing, and we were all excited at that stage. We thought that bigger things were to come. It didn't quite pay off. We'll get there, but take yourself back to that feeling. Did it feel like this was something where we were going to explore what we wanted to see for so many years? Cena as a heel turn. Were you optimistic about where it was going to go?
Hey, Dion, go bleep yourself. Look,
how good.
Look, and just a quick sort of thing to the side. Elimination Chamber was the best WWE PLE of the year. Every match delivered. It was a fantastic event. The men's Elimination Chamber match for me was one of the matches of the year, and multi-man like matches like that never saw it get into the picture of matches of the year. But that for me was awesome. Okay, so. I remember, you know, I remember where I was where Princess Diana died. I remember where I was where John Cena turned heel, right? I was sitting on this couch with my son to my right, my wife sitting over there, and my daughter sitting over there. And I was telling them, guys, Cody's turning heel tonight. And my son was like, no, he's not, Dad. He's not going to sell his soul. I was like, John Cena's going to win the Elimination Chamber. Cody's going to kick him in the nuts, and he's going to turn heel. He's going to sell his soul to The Rock. That was what I thought would happen. Boy, was I wrong. And that beautiful moment where they embrace and John Cena's face for the very first time in his career goes stone cold evil. So even when he was the rapper heel back in the day, you never saw that evil look on his face.
No.
And I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. What is happening here? And yep, sure enough, and like my wife couldn't believe it. My daughter was like, no. And like my son wanted to kill John Cena for what he did to Cody Rhodes, who was his favorite wrestler, right? So I thought it was one of the most well-executed big moments in pro wrestling history, up there with the Hulk Hogan heel turn at Bash of the Beach and up there with the Stone Cold Bret Hart double turn at WrestleMania 13, right? Like, you think of significant moments and shifts in characters, those three stand the test of time, right? Probably better than any in history.
Though it felt like that's kind of where it sort of began and ended.
That was the peak of the John Cena heel run. And look, and we'll get into this later. I do think they've bounced back from the stuff that happened after that. But that particular moment on that day in late January, I think it was, or early Feb, that was a tremendously executed pro wrestling segment with three of the biggest names in the history of the industry in the ring all at one time.
Yeah.
And Travis Scott. It was beautifully executed. Look, I don't pretend to know what happened behind the scenes and all the politics and all the bullcrap that goes on. Certainly something happened in the post of that caused WrestleMania to be the cluster that it was, which is really unfortunate. But like I said, look, at that particular moment in time, Dion, I was like, I am here for John Cena as a heel. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I was really optimistic at that stage. And do you know the thing for me is that Cena never looked comfortable in his skin. It looked like he was acting like the bad guy. And even then, what got me interested was how are we explaining this whole situation? Because at some stage there had to be a payoff. I would be fascinated to know what it was going to be. I'm not sure we're ever going to hear the truth, but for this heel turn to be going for the 6 months of his 12-month final run or whatever it was going to be, how do we explain why the run? How do we explain what he was actually trying to accomplish? Because it often felt like, well, maybe this is not just a means to an end. It was like he was trying to sell something for a bigger picture, like he was trying to set The Rock up or whatever it was going to be. I don't know. And then WrestleMania came, and you're quite right. It was a cluster.
Well, the original plan, right, wasn't it supposed to be Kevin Owens? He got injured, right? And I think Triple H revealed on Unreal that their original plan was for Kevin Owens to be the guy to sell his soul to The Rock and move into that situation as The Rock's champion, but got injured and they completely went in a different direction. So it just wasn't the right direction. And mate, you have a great ability to hit the nail on the head with some of the comments that you made. And you just said then, I don't think John Cena ever truly believed that he was a bad guy. And I totally agree with you. And the promo that he cut in Belgium a week or two later, his first promo, it just didn't hit. And although we got some really good segments between him and Cody in the build-up to WrestleMania, him and Randy in the build-up to their match, and him and CM Punk in the build-up to their match, there were good segments. Like, it just never, you never truly believed, you're right. I didn't think about that, but you never truly believed that John Cena thought that he was who he was portraying on television.
And if he doesn't, how can we? And that was the whole issue, right? I'm sitting there at WrestleMania 41 and I see John Cena take the win as expected. And as soon as that 1, 2, 3 hit, the air was sucked out of that stadium.
Because The Rock didn't show up, right?
That's all it came down to, because The Rock didn't show up.
Yeah.
The Rock didn't show up. I'm repping The Rock kind of here. It took me about 6 months to put this T-shirt back on because I was so mad at The Rock. He didn't come back, Brad. He didn't come back, and it did ruin the story. And again, he wasn't believable. He didn't believe that he was the bad guy. I don't know how they were trying to portray it to us, or again, what the end game was going to be. I did like the Raw After Mania promo. I thought that was good. That was one of the better moments in the heel character. I also liked the lack of graphics on his way out to the ring, right?
That was cool, and
it's great.
And then incorporate. I also really dig the belt backwards. And so look, as we review the John Cena run in 2025, important to say there were some cool things about his heel run. The ring introduction, which they've carried on, gracing his presence, I know has changed to like spending time with you guys for the very last time. But the ring introduction where he got the ring announcers to ring out, that was very, very cool. I thought the belt worn backwards was excellent. The last real champion was beautiful. But John Cena has been on many, many podcasts in the last 3 or 4 days, including Joe Rogan and Bill Simmons, the two biggest podcasts in the United States of America, arguably the world. And he talked to Bill Simmons about how, look, and Bill Simmons is a big pro wrestling fan as well as being a massive basketball and sports fan. And he said, why didn't the heel turn work? And he said, look, in pro wrestling, you need time to tell a story. And I just didn't have time. And so what it was meant to be, I think, and reading between the lines of what John Cena was saying in that podcast, and I'd highly recommend you guys go and listen to it, is I think they got to 3 months in and they're like, man, we just don't have time to tell the story. And I think they also realized that blaming the fans was not the right way to go. I just think it would have been so much easier if they just said, if he'd done something along the lines of, Cody, you white meat John Cena babyface wannabe. Like, you know, you are literally me reincarnated. No one is me. I'm the greatest of all time. That's all he needed to do. Like something along the lines of that. This is my time. This is my last year. I'm the superstar around here. You guys are all pretenders. Not, you guys were mean to me. We had a terrible relationship when he talked about the fans. I just think it could have been different. And he could have gone the stone cold route of, I don't care if you boo me. I don't care if you cheer for me, but I ain't changing my ring gear and I ain't changing my music. I'm John Cena. I'm the greatest of all time. Live with it. And I'm gonna retire champion. And that's not what we got. And I think they realized that by August, right? When we had the world's fastest babyface turn, and with no incarnation that was happening, which is a real shame.
Yeah. Well, the WrestleMania 41 stuff I forgave because, again, I was still pretty optimistic at where we were going. But then the babyface turn is, would you even call it that? That was the lamest babyface turn of a superstar, an A-lister main event of all time. I think they still had an opportunity here to make it interesting for something to have flipped the switch
in the middle of
John
the match.
Cena. Absolutely, in the middle of the match. Maybe we could have a WrestleMania 13 situation, just like we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks. Maybe he taps out, he's blade, whatever it is, and post the match, he becomes a little bit cooler, a little bit more, forgiving of the fans. But it was just very, very strange. And I did not believe it for a second. I said, hang on, something's happening at SummerSlam.
That was Brock.
You don't have Cody just coming out and saying, hey man, you've been a bit of a jerk, and Cena going, you know what? After this conversation, I think you're right.
Dick.
I'm really sorry. Let's get on with it. Handshake, and it was very strange.
And Brock's return is clearly why they wanted to turn him his face quickly as possible. And look, in his babyface run, the only miss for me has been the Brock Lesnar match. Like, that's been the only miss for me, given what we've seen since. And I have seen in recent weeks that the original plan for War Games was for John Cena to be involved in the War Games match. But then Jacob Fatu and Seth Rollins both got injured, so they shifted gears and moved John away from that. And that probably would have been an opportunity for John to get his heat back against Brock. But I think at the end of the day, the story is Brock Lesnar is the beast that John Cena could never conquer, right? So let's just live with that.
Yeah.
What I will say is, despite the train wreck that was WrestleMania 41 and his promos as a heel and his heel persona, the match with Randy Orton at Backlash was a banger, right? Those two guys delivered, and I think that was vindication for John, right? Like, I think that again proved to him that he could still go. Look, the R-Truth match wasn't great. There was a tag match with Logan along the way as well that, give or take. But that match was great. The CM Punk match was great. And then, that babyface Cody Rhodes match was probably John Cena's best match of the year.
Yeah. And hey, don't forget Sami Zayn on SmackDown.
Yeah,
what a
look,
match.
And that's the thing, right? Since August, aside from the Brock match, which didn't make a lot of sense in terms of the way they told the story in that, but I guess, like I just said, the angle they were going through was the beast I couldn't conquer. He's hit home run after home run after home run after home run. And this is where I think it's hard to judge his year, because I think January, February was great. March through August was pretty mid. Let's be honest, because we've been wanting heel John Cena for 20 years. We've never got it. We got it this year. It just wasn't good. I'd give it like a D-.
Yeah, but finishing strong though, right? Finishing real strong. Finishing really, really strong with his AJ Styles match at Crown Jewel, the program he's had with Dominic. We'll get to Gunther after our interview a little bit later on today. But man, I think it's really turned things around. Wrestling fans can be very forgiving. And I think overall, the fact that we've been able to see John Cena having fun and us in turn being able to have fun with him, I think overall this is going to be seen as a huge success this year, notwithstanding that mid year.
Yeah, outside of the IWC cesspool of humanity, I agree. And I think what they've done in the last 5 months, Dion, since SummerSlam, is I guess it's almost been an apology letter to fans that, hey, we're sorry, we messed up, but we did pivot. It may not have been the best, most well-executed pivot, but we pivoted at the right time. We got Cody and John away from each other, and we've given you the matches that you wanted.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, he was in the ring with Rey Mysterio and Sheamus, who are two of his very, very best friends in pro wrestling. He's made Dominant Mysterio a superstar. And I think we're in for a hell of a match with Gunther, which I know we'll get to a little bit later on. I think the last 5 months has been, I said D- for the heel run. I'd give the last 5 months an A+.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And none of this would have been possible without him staying healthy. I mean, this guy, has there only been the one catastrophic? There's just been that one catastrophic injury, hasn't it? The pec injury.
The pec injury, which he made a world record comeback. I think that injury happened in August of whatever year it was, 2006. And then 2007, he makes his return. It might have been 2007. I could be a year off. Forgive me. I'm sure there's some train spotters out there. Makes his return at the Rumble in 07, wins it. And world record time. Like no one has ever recovered in sport from a pec injury in 5 months.
Yeah. In fairness to John Cena, over the course of this year, he does work a very safe style. He's not doing anything massively risky. You know, you can say he had the 5 moves of doom, which kept him safe over much of his career. But the fact that he has stayed healthy and has been able to write this love letter to wrestling for, again, us to be such a huge part of, man, hats off.
Couple of things before we wrap on this topic. Just a couple of things in terms of, and I'm sure that in reflection, I don't think John's going to have any regrets, but I think we as fans, a shame there's not a working relationship between AEW and WWE, because it would have been great to see Chris Jericho and Edge involved in the last year of John Cena's career, right? Maybe even the Big Show, who he's had stuff with in the past. So that's a shame. Also, never worked with Seth Rollins, which I think, like this year, he's worked with Seth Rollins in the past. I think at times there may have been a plan to push those two together towards each other, but that sort of never materialized, which is a real shame. Those are a couple of things for me. Is there any... Kevin Owens, of course, his injury as well. I would 100% guarantee you we would have got some sort of Kevin Owens match. But is there anything for you as we reflect on John Cena's last year where you're like, man, I wish he'd had a match with this guy, or maybe a program or a promo exchange with this guy? Drew McIntyre is another one who we never got to see him in the ring with, which I think that those are all misses for me.
Yeah, I think I can't think of anything outside of what you've just stated there. We could go through the roster and say, hey, this would have been good, this would have been good, that would have been great. And I guess that's the issue when you do have this time-limited and dates-limited scenario, which we've never seen before. But I feel we are going to see a lot more of this sort of thing in the future. AJ Styles, of course, is probably next cab off the rank for
Tanahashi's doing it, right?
He's dead right. Yeah. So overall, I'm content with this year. I'm also well aware of the gift that we've had for John Cena to be able to have this last year, and we know what's been coming. And as the years rolled on, it's become that little bit more real. And I do like the fact that here's a guy who is probably the hardest worker you could ever imagine, who went through a good portion of his career with fans not particularly happy with him being around. Cena always wins. He's always burying the young guys. No matter what he did, there was always a section that just did not want Cena around.
Yep.
This has been nothing but a love fest, certainly in the last 3 or 4 months of John Cena and his relationship with fans, ironically, given what was being discussed when he was going through this heel turn. So,
are you going to the Raw after Mania?
I haven't got my tickets yet. They're not on sale, but I absolutely will be. Yeah.
So he's booked for an appearance at Raw after Mania.
Is he just?
Yeah, that's been confirmed by not the WWE, but numerous people through the internet wrestling community that I certainly would believe. So he's scheduled for an appearance the Raw after WrestleMania. Now, look, I'm not thinking he's going to have a match or anything like that, but will he have a part to play? No, absolutely.
He will never wrestle again.
There's all these douches that are like, he's going to be in AEW. Like, no, he's not. That's not going to happen, guys. Please, if you're an AEW fanboy, full power to you. One thing I can tell you certain in this world, John Cena will never wrestle for the AEW, and he will never perform in the ring again. Like, he's done. He wants to be the only guy to follow through on that promise.
And he will. He will not wrestle for that Saudi money. He will never wrestle again. He will never wrestle.
He doesn't need to. Yeah,
man,
doesn't need to.
Yeah, what a gift this year's been.
So finally, in closing, D- for that sort of first 6 months of the year, A+ for the back end 6 months. So I'm going to give John Cena's final year with one match to go, which I think could actually end up being one of the greatest matches of his career. I'm going to give it a solid, bold B+.
I think that's fair. I think that's very difficult to argue. There's going to be a lot of opinions on this year, a lot of chat about it, certainly over the next 6 months. Bring on next weekend. I'm actually really excited for this.
Me too.
Next weekend. All right, what I'm also excited about is bringing you part 2 of our interview with Hooligan Marcus Kool. You're going to want to stick around for this one. It's coming up straight after the break.
Villa suck.
Hey everyone, it's the big man Jamie Ese, and you are listening to That Sweet Pop.
Here's what I really love about SPW. If I had $1 for every person in the last 25 years who was going to start a wrestling promotion because they knew how to do things properly, I'd have about $36. There's 2 or 3 that remained, and what was always great with SPW is obviously, it blossomed from this conversation that you and Troy had, and very quickly became the street cred you got so quickly was incredible. The production levels, the home-based stars, and then along comes Southern Rumble, which has always been a real showcase for SPW, right? So it's basically your WrestleMania. The production was literally world class for an independent promotion, drawing incredible crowds, especially for this modern era. You collaborated with WWE in 2019. No one's been able to claim that. You brought in Will Ospreay, you had Indy Hartwell and Tennille Dashwood with this association with MCW. But it's always felt like the Southern Rumble was much more than just another wrestling show to you all. Is that fair?
Definitely. Yeah. It was like the platform that we were given to showcase New Zealand talent, we weren't going to take lightly, and we're going to put everything we could into it to expose them. But thanks for the words, mate. I really appreciate that.
Well, it's the truth, the absolute truth.
I think I'm just fortunate with coming from where I came from and just landing so lucky with the school that I got brought up in England. I saw the way everything was done well, but I also saw the way things didn't work at that time in the UK. I think I learned a lot in that short space of time, especially as a youngster. You kind of tend to pick up a little bit more, I feel, at that age. You tend to absorb more and take more in. So I think I learned a lot of lessons without necessarily knowing it at the time. And sorry, I don't want to segue too much here, but I feel like this is so important to why I think SPW became a success was from learning from those failures that I thought was going wrong with the scene at the time back in the UK. And I remember this goes back to me saying, I didn't see much in it or much opportunity at the time in the UK. And I still believe that is the case until when I left, there was a promotion called Progress Wrestling that kicked off over there. And I remember seeing how they portrayed themselves, like the brand. It was cool. It was cutting edge. It was underground. They'd established a really cool venue and vibe and atmosphere. It wasn't everything else you'd see on the independents. They really honed in on, hey, what works well in the UK when you come to a live event or a live entertainment, and like football is such a huge part of England. And when you go to a football match, everybody just loves to sing and chant and dance and have a good time. Sometimes they're not even watching the footy. What wrestling is such the perfect opportunity to do that. And when I saw Progress Wrestling come along and do what they did and take all of those elements and put it into a pro wrestling show, not only did they do all those elements as well, they also threw in Jim Smallman, who is a comedian and a host and made it part of the event and part of the show as well. And it's all these little things that you do that make it what it is and make it stand out and make it different and make it appealing to the masses and the mainstream. And I just didn't think anybody was doing it at the time in England. There really wasn't. There was, like I say, there's a smudge. And I think the independent scene really grew from then onwards. I think a lot of people tried to emulate them, not necessarily copy, but they just took that, what they'd done and tried to emulate it elsewhere. So I really learned, I thought, from that process. So whenever I looked at what SPW was doing, I was like, how can we stand out and how can we appeal to as many people as possible? And how do we do what nobody else is doing right now? Because I think as well at the time, New Zealand, man, was just bubbling with talent. Like, there's so much fucking talent in this country when I got here that, like, I think, reflecting back on it, there was Kingy, who's a long stay, Slade Mercer, you had Dal Knox, and then coming up, there was Dakota Kai, there was TK Cooper, there was Travis Banks, there was Niwa, there was Hanare, there was also special shout out to B. Priestley, Blair Davenport in the WWE. I don't think she gets fucking near enough credit for how hard she's worked and where she's gotten to and what she's done from coming from so little. Like, I don't think she gets mentioned or talked about enough. I think she's such a hard-working chick. She gets her head down. She does what she needs to do. And I fucking think the world of her. I think she's amazing. I think she's great. And she doesn't get enough credit. Anyway. But, man, there was so much talent here in the country. And I thought IPW were doing a good job, but I just thought they got a bit complacent. There was nobody here really pushing it or trying to get it to the next level, because as you do, like, I'm fucking the same now, you just kind of just get stuck in the way and you go with, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what works, let's just carry on. There was no real competitors, there was nobody really, pushing the envelope a little bit. And I think we just got a really good opportunity because the South Island was untouched and there was nothing happening and it was a blank canvas, and we could do what we wanted and we could bring in all the best guys from up north. And then we could implement the best guys that we had at the time that we brought up with them to learn from. And then I could kind of absorb everything I'd learned over the years to go, hey, how do we make this as successful as we can? And sorry.
No, great answer. And look, this question's probably going to come from a place of naivety and maybe a little bit of ignorance, right? Like, I've only sort of been exposed to the indie scene in Auckland, and literally it's IPW and Aotearoa Wrestling, and they're doing a great job in both those promotions. But as a fan and someone who's watched wrestling my whole life, and I see guys come in for the Eliminator from Christchurch, from all over the country, and it's great. First time I've been exposed to these guys. I don't know how much synergy goes on between all the organizations, but I feel like we're such a small country, and maybe say we've got 150 wrestlers in New Zealand, where like the New Zealand heavyweight champion is actually the champion of the entire country of New Zealand, right? And like takes that belt to SPW, takes that belt to Aotearoa Wrestling, takes that belt to Wellington, to Kapiti, and you know what I mean? Like, can you see a world where that happens? Because I feel like that's how we'll push these kids and these sort of under 30-year-olds to WWE, to AEW, to New Japan, to wherever they're going.
I agree, man. It's just so hard to accomplish that and make it happen for a lot of bullshit and political reasons. I think the closest shot we've got to that happening now is Aotearoa Wrestling with Hanare. I think he's doing an amazing job. I think he's done the next thing from SPW in terms of trying to push the brand, push presentation, push it to the next level. He's so passionate, so dedicated, believes too. I think he's going to have some challenges. I think it's going to be difficult. But, mate, we're not the only one with that problem. It's worldwide. It's the independents worldwide. Yeah. I think we kind of, we're a bit more frustrated with it because we're a smaller country. So it should be easier. But it's not. It's a tricky one. It is.
Hey, tell us about getting Will Ospreay down here to work. And now looking back, we had the arguably, or sometimes some people would say not so arguably, Greatest wrestler on the planet right here on our shores, thanks to SPW.
Yeah, man, Will's unbelievable, man. Such a crazy talented dude. I kind of going on to the back of Brad's last question as well, and sorry yours, Dion, before I went on a fucking tangent. Jesus. The Southern Rumble was kind of what I was trying to achieve with what you were saying there, Brad, was I thought we'd created such an opportunity here and such a big platform. We had a stadium. In 2019, we had a deal with TVNZ. I'd collaborated with the WWE. We'd flew over one of their signed guys, Travis Banks, who was a New Zealander at the time, wrestling for the WWE, back over to work for a New Zealand promotion. We'd been greenlit to use WWE logos and marketing on their posters and everything. We had Dion that was also organizing the media calls and schedules for Travis whilst he was over here, who did an amazing job. And man, you guys got some exposure for us over there, eh? It was crazy.
SPW was trending.
Yeah, big names from Australia too. I think Adam Brooks might have been over for that one as well. Like if memory serves, yeah, it was a big show.
We did. We'd worked on a collaboration with Melbourne City Wrestling over a few years. I was really close with the promoter Mikey over there, and part of that collaboration was also to expose New Zealand wrestlers to the Australian scene, and then also Australian wrestlers to the New Zealand scene with the collaboration. Me and Mikey's mindset was, we should be portraying our guys as the stars. You know, we should be flying each other's guys over as attractions. So we would bring MCW guys over and portray them as superstars coming here, and same as the SPW guys going over to Melbourne City Wrestling. And then we also had a collaboration with, you know, the on-demand channels and sharing content and stuff like that. We were just trying to benefit each other. So at the time, we had that happening on that stadium show as well. So it was the typical Australia v New Zealand. We had a WWE star on the show. We had TVNZ filming. We had international talent over. We were streaming it worldwide. And I think at one point, I think it's the first New Zealand show that's trended #1 on Twitter. It's crazy. So we really went all out for that show. And I say the production we went all out for as well. But to me, that was the biggest opportunity of showcasing New Zealand talent. There's obviously so much content and there's so much to absorb and so much to see these days. But if we can put our guys in the ring or on the same level as these WWE guys and these international independents and put them on the same platform, then people are going to start taking notice and people are going to look at it. And a big part of that is production as well. You've got to make shit look good. You've got to invest in making it look good and look appealing, and put the time in. So the Southern Rumble for us was that. It was our big bet. We did 2 of them. We did the first one with Will, and we did the second one with the MCW and WWE. I've got a side story from the Southern Rumble.
Love a good side story. Let's go.
I don't think I've told this story publicly anyway. So the first Southern Rumble, we'd got some heavy sponsorship on board. And the heavy sponsorship was to bring over a huge international name. And the idea was to drive international interest to Invercargill. So we're also working with the Tourism Board of Invercargill. And in return, that investment, they were going to come and do experiences and activities and tourism sites in the Southland whilst they were here to promote the Southland. So it was a big win for us. So we got a big chunk of change. And I shit you not, we had our headlining act before to Neil Dashwood that we had. I've got these emails. I've got them agreed. I've got it all confirmed. Was Rey Mysterio.
Wow.
We were meant to have Rey Mysterio as our headliner for the first Southern Rumble.
Goodness.
And it was crazy because it was all confirmed. The deposits were paid. And what happened was his agent is Conan. And I couldn't have been any more clearer on emails and on the phone with the time differences of New Zealand and the time that it takes to get here. And I remember sending through my after talking about it for so many times, the official itinerary of Rey and when he would need to fly from where he was at to here. I remember just getting an email back being like, he can't make that time flight because he's in the UK on that day. And I was like, I know he's in the UK, you told me. But this is how long it takes to get, like, this is, he's like, yeah, but it crosses over with this. I'm like, we've discussed this so many times. It's not his fault either. It's complicated timelines and everything. But long story short, we had Rey Mysterio locked in. We'd sold him to the sponsors. They were the ones that signed off on Rey Mysterio being here. And we lost him literally as we were booking flights. It was crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then
that would have been huge for the region as well. I mean, imagine all the eyes that would have been on the Deep South.
Oh man, I know. It was a huge opportunity. So then we had to, the awkward part was, of course, we told our sponsors that this is locked in. Like, he's agreed, fees are sorted, everything's lined up, we're good. And then we had to go with our fucking balls between our legs and tell them that he's not coming anymore.
Oh no.
So
how did that go down?
I mean, you know, the Southlanders, as they are, they're good people. So they took it fairly well, but you know, they were so invested and on board in doing that event at that point. They were just like, who else can we get? What's the alternative? Awesome. And we ended up going with Tenille because she just left WWE at that point. She was still pretty hot and very well known, but also in Invercargill at the time, they were really pushing for women's sports and trying to get more women involved in that in the region. They also have the netball team there, the Southern Steel, that they've heavily invested in at the stadium. So Tenille kind of was a bit of a perfect fit for that as well. So they were stoked with the replacement, and it saved them a bit of money too.
Now I want to take a real big left turn. Let's go back to Drake Maverick's wedding. Now, you're great mates with Spud, of course, in real life. You attended his real life wedding, but like all good workers, when there's an opportunity for an angle, you take it. Drake Maverick took it. So his wedding was used on WWE programming. He was the 24/7 champion at the time. End of the nuptials, the happy couple walk down the aisle, and Drake Maverick he's greeted by a WWE referee and by R-Truth, who rolls him up in the wedding aisle at the end of the ceremony to claim the 24/7 championship. How did this all go down? When did you first hear about it? What was the day like? Leave nothing out.
Only my mate, Drake Maverick, spoke. Could this happen? Fuck, honestly, lads, it was a shit show. It really was. His fucking wedding. I can't believe he's still married. His missus is a saint. Oh man, there's so much into this, but I'll try and keep it to the. There was a couple of highlights for me from this day. The first highlight that really stands out to me was the groomsmen. Was myself, Braun Strowman, EC3, Jeremy Barash, and his other mate Jack from back home, who we get on pretty well with. So, I mean, just such an odd group of groomsmen. And one of the things that I remember so vividly is Braun is such a big dude. And this wedding is in Orlando. And it's so fucking hot. So this dude has to get like 4 different custom-made suits done because he's going to sweat through them throughout the whole fucking day. Oh. And I shit you not, like, I think we're in the hotel for, I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes and he's already gone through one. And I'm like, dude, well, like, it's like 10 a.m. What are you doing? So that was wild to me, watching that unfold and that happen. It's just typical Jay, honestly. I obviously knew that this was happening, but I don't think he'd quite briefed everybody else at this wedding. So, like, everyone's set up, we're all seated, the ceremony's about to happen, and then I actually get pulled into a brief before with the producer who's running the gig to go over the spots, to go over what's happening.
The spots at the wedding, just to be clear.
The spots at the wedding, how it's going to run, what's happening, timing. And I'm fucking looking around this room. I've got fucking Braun who's sweating bollocks over there. I've got fucking Matt Hardy to my right, who even he's like, what the fuck are we doing? You know, like what is... We've got Spud who's just like, yes, they're paying for my bar tab. Let's fucking get it done. Who cares? And then you've got R-Truth there as well, who even in real life is just the funniest guy, like so charismatic. You can see why he's so successful. And so we get the brief. We go back into the room. The wedding's about to start, and the producer comes in, and he like just puts his hand up like a school teacher, and everyone kind of stops. And he kind of just stops there and then and gives everybody else in the room a brief of what's actually about to happen and that this isn't currently the real wedding and how we're about to shoot something for TV. Apologize. This is what's going to go down. Is everybody with us? And then, like, he kind of said, is everybody with us? Everybody kind of went, yes! Yes, we fucking are. And yeah, Jay comes down the aisle, gets rolled up for his 24/7 title. 1, 2, 3, jobs as usual. And R-Truth goes running. And I'm just fucking, I'm at the back, so just, you know, like trying to sell it. Just like unbelievable. But yeah, man, it's such a funny time. But that on Drake Maverick, yeah, he's one of my best mates since school. But honestly, he's the most gifted, creative mind for this business dude that I've ever met, and I've been around a lot of people, and he's my best mate, you know. And you tend not to listen to your best mate so much, you know, every now and then with that stuff when it comes to professional crossover. But man, I can listen and learn from him all the time. I've never met anybody like it. He's pretty open about being severely ADHD. He can be a fucking hard time to be around. But man, you can see why. His mind works at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and he's always thinking creatively. I've never learned so much from a dude in my entire life. He's insane. You can see, I mean, man, from being kids and backyarding with each other back in the day to him now being like one of the lead writers for the WWE, I can see why. I never doubted him. Like he's what, 5'6", one of the smallest dudes there is out there. But fuck, man, talent was never going to deny him. Ever. He's just too talented. His stuff I don't know if you saw much of his stuff, man. Go watch back his TNA like segments and what he did there. The way his facials and the way he portrays himself. He's not afraid to make himself like the Fall. He fucking pissed himself.
Well, I think
he
paid himself with the AOP, right?
Yeah.
So
legit like, too. That's legit piss. He fucking legit pissed himself. Yeah.
What an absolute legend. Do you still love wrestling? Do you still watch mainstream wrestling? Like, is it something that still brings you joy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I still enjoy watching it. Yeah, I'd say definitely. Yeah.
Good. Are you like a team WWE or team AEW person? Do you sit in that realm where you just like me and Dion, you actually just enjoy watching wrestling and you don't really care where it's coming from?
Yeah, man, I love all different types of styles of wrestling. I can appreciate everything, man. You know, and it is so subjective. You know, like I could like one thing, somebody can totally dislike it. You're always going to have a different favorite wrestler. You're always going to have a different match. I just think it's so subjective. Like it's hard for me as a coach and somebody who tries to pass on knowledge to the older guys. I get to a point where I'm like, and this is just what I've learned from my time doing it, is I think when you first start out and you learn how the mechanics and the basics of pro wrestling work is so important. And that to me is key. And if you're not very, very good at the basics, stop and go back and learn them again. You know, that needs to be so important and so key. And those should be drilled into you from the get-go. And that should be all trained efficiently and properly. But as soon as you start getting into like there's basic psychology as well, but as soon as you start getting into like characters and creative and certain types of psychology in matches, to me that then starts to become very difficult, you know, and you can only really start to figure that out yourself and start to know what works for you and your character and in your environment. and what other people enjoy. Like, and you're either going to suck at it and fail hard, or you're going to get it and something's going to click. I just feel like that's such a grey area with wrestling, and that's why I love it so much, because it's so, man, there's there's so many flavors. You know, I don't think there's necessarily a right and a wrong way when it comes to, you know, the top end of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you've flirted quite a bit with WWE over the years as well. We mentioned earlier you being Charlotte Flair's doctor. Just to be clear, you are not Charlotte Flair's doctor. You are not. Not qualified in any way, shape, or form to do any doctoring of Charlotte Flair.
No,
but on screen you did at the MCG of all places.
Yeah.
You've also been to the Performance Center during your career. You've had WWE tryouts. You've also had some. You've done some low key talent scouting for WWE. Now I know this is something that you don't put yourself out there for, and something that you don't like to take credit for. But I imagine going through the tryout process yourself and having the opportunity to put other names forward for WWE must be something that is incredibly rewarding on both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah, it is, mate. I've done a few WWE tryouts now. This sounds crazy saying this, but at that point in my life, when I first went to a WWE tryout, I just knew I never wanted to do it full time. I knew I never wanted to be a WWE on the road, traveling like they do, putting themselves through like they do. I was enjoying my life in New Zealand. I liked it as like a hobby and just driving it here. I knew at that stage it wasn't something I wanted to pursue full time. So going into the tryout, I wanted to be really honest and open with them. But I said, look, for me, I'm really invested in the scene in New Zealand. I run a promotion. This is what I'm trying to get out of it. This is what I want to pass on when I go back. And that got me very well connected with, at the time, he was the lead talent for WWE. His name was Canyon Seaman. So we just got quite a good rapport back and forth based on him knowing that, hey, this guy is just not trying to get a job. He's coming here to learn and trying to get more information to then pass on to others. So I think that helped that relationship and establish us a bit better. So from there, I could go and do the tryouts with more of an open mind and not necessarily be worrying about what I'm doing, but watch what everybody else is doing, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, learn what they're looking for, and then take that back and pass it on to our guys. And then also get the inside knowledge of why certain things didn't work out for others as well, you know. And I'm just always so fascinated in production and how they do things and why, you know. So I got a lot out of that as well. Through that relationship, he relied on me to put forth names of who they should look at when they come over to Australia and New Zealand. So I was in a position to suggest certain guys, which again personally I thought were ready and should be looked at.
Just on that, we're seeing a real boom of Australian talent in WWE at the moment, and in AEW. I mean, Kyle Fletcher's one of the most outstanding young talents in pro wrestling. But Bronson Reed, you know, like, he's killing it. Grayson Waller is absolutely killing it. And I think, you know, he's just waiting for the right angle, the right sort of program to sort of take that next step. We know that guys like Jamie Tangata has gone to Australia. He wants to go to WWE. Spartan's in the UK at the moment. He's doing what he can to get to WWE. How far away are we from another New Zealander getting on AEW or getting? I'm sure Dakota or Evie might show up in AEW at some point, but how are we a long way away from another New Zealand talent?
I don't think so, Brad. No. If the talent's there, the talent's there, and they're going to get noticed and they're going to get spotted. And I think the more people keep pushing the New Zealand scene and the more platform it gets and the more exposure it gets, it just gives those guys more opportunity to get noticed. So unfortunately, it does rely, which is why I was so passionate about pushing SPW in the platforms. It does rely on the promoter to put those guys out there because they're the ones with the content. And I think that's what helped me with SPW with the talent is I came from being a talent. So going from a talent to a promoter, I knew what I wanted out of a promoter as a talent. You know, I knew what I wanted to see and how they could help me. So I could see both sides. But yeah, the guys have just, they've just got to put themselves out there in every way they can. They've got to travel. They've got to take risks. It's definitely more difficult this side of the pond, you know. But like you were saying, that the doors have been opened. We've seen a lot more eyes on the New Zealand scene over the past few years and the Australian scene, and there's guys in WWE that are killing it and are really, you know, showing the worth of the talent over here. You mentioned him, and I'm gonna have to bring him up because I fucking love this dude. And I'm taking no credit at all for this, but there was actually one of the shows in Australia. It was a PWA show, and I was sat next to Canyon Seaman for the show, and he was the main event, and it's Matty Wahlberg, Grayson Waller, who is now. And I said to Canyon, I said, this dude is fucking amazing. And I was like, you have to take notice of this guy. He's not necessarily the best in the ring, but he's believable. He has it. He can fucking talk. He's legit. He comes across so genuine, so authentic. He does. I'm taking no credit for this, by the way. It would have been a million other people. He was already there to see him, but I love the guy. So I was just giving him another nudge, you know, just take note. Anything that helps, right? And man, I think Grayson, they've used him like very well for how early he is in his career in the WWE, but I just think he's got.
I feel like they've used him as like a mini Miz.
They have, but I feel like they're just easing him in, you know. I feel like they're testing him. I feel like he's still early days, you know. They're testing the waters, seeing what he can do. I hope they are anyway, because man, if they give him an opportunity on that microphone to legitimize himself, he can fucking talk the talk, man. And he can't just talk the talk; brilliant. He can walk the walk too. He's so passionate; you can see it in his eyes. Again, like he's not the best wrestler. He's a great wrestler. He's not the best though, but he's just so authentic and so real and so himself. And I just think when he gets the opportunity to be him and gets that time, I think there's a fucking lot more to see from that dude. I think he's gonna blow those doors down. I think he's amazing.
Yeah. All right, Marcus, thank you so much. You've been incredibly generous with your time. Your insight is fascinating. I feel like we could dive even deeper into a lot more of these topics, and I think we might need a part 3 and a part 4 at some stage soon.
Absolutely.
But we end all of these interviews with the 3 count, 3 questions, so that we can get to know you a little bit deeper beyond the wrestling stuff. So, question number 1: what TV series are you currently watching?
Believe it or not, lads, I'm watching the Peaky Blinders.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on season 5. Show. I don't know why it's taken until now to watch it, and I've always wanted to. I just haven't had the time. And with the injury, I obviously got stuck into it. And holy shit, I am obsessed. And I'm like, do you know what? When I'm back and I return, there could be a new type of hooligan coming.
Oh, hello,
coming out. I feel like the Peaky Blinders have given me some inspiration.
Ooh.
I think he needs a bit of an update anyway. You know, I can't walk around in my fucking footy gear.
But the entrance music's so good.
I do love the entrance. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. But that's it. It's done from there. You know, the entrance finishes. It's all over.
Then the bell rings.
Yeah, exactly. It's all downhill from there. You know.
Describe the perfect day.
Oh, mate, I'm a pretty simple man these days. You know. Good health, good food, good company, laughs, a Villa win, and just some type of outdoor sports.
Great.
Nice. When your career is over, how will you measure its success?
Oh, God. That's a hard question, isn't it? I don't want to sound like I don't want to give a stereotypical answer, but I guess, did you leave the scene better than you found it? I think I'd like to think so. You know, if that continues and gives other, you know, Kiwis the chance and a platform and opportunity to get noticed, then I think I've done something worthwhile. If I've made, you know, a few hundred people forget about their shit week on a Saturday night in Invercargill or Queenstown, then fucking success. And if my kids can watch footage in 2045 with the fucking bald man coming out to Vindaloo in Queenstown and pouring a pint on someone's head and shouting, "Let's have it." And they're like, "Do you know, he looks like he's having a fucking good time." I was, you know, and that's pretty cool.
Hey, just before Dion wraps, there's just a piece of advice that I think it's really, really important that I leave you with tonight, Marcus, and that is, you'll never walk alone, my friend.
Perfect.
I can only apologize for my friend.
It is the best football song. I can't dispute it.
I think we stole it off Celtic. So
did you? Interesting. It is great though. Such a tune.
Well, I think part of what you want to achieve is already complete, because you certainly are leaving the New Zealand scene better than you found it. Thank you to SPW and everything you've accomplished and will continue to accomplish. And we just need this damn knee to get better. So best of luck with the rehab. We know we're going to see you in the ring again, and we can't wait to see that. Again, thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Hooligan Marcus Kool.
Cheers, guys.
This is B. Priestley, the Top Gaijin, and you are listening to That Sweet Pop.
There he is, part 2 of our interview with the Hooligan Marcus Kool. How's that story about Drake Maverick's wedding?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That's pretty nuts. And look, man, just to even be involved in something like that, and what at the time was a pretty big angle, and we know how popular that 24/7 title was for the small amount of time that R-Truth was involved in it. And Drake Maverick, man, undercover great character when he was on screen. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting to find out how close those two guys are as mates, and that's a cool connection for us New Zealand fans to know. You know, there are degrees of separation. We are that close to WWE because Drake Maverick's a pretty big person behind the scenes in WWE these days. One of the major writers, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. How's the story as well on Braun Strowman and his 4 suits, and you know, he was sweating through the first one at 10 a.m. in the morning. Do you know what? Braun Strowman, you may not know this, Brad. I don't think I've ever shared it with you. I taught him how to swing a cricket bat. Have I ever told you this?
Wow, you have not.
It was after a WWE show in Sydney. We're at some top floor bar. It was pretty cool. And there were a few WWE superstars in there. Braun Strowman was one. I think Sheamus was another. Someone had brought out a cricket bat to show the WWE wrestlers, and Braun was swinging it like a baseball bat. I happened to be at the bar near him. I was like, no, sunshine.
Bro,
let me show you. I showed him
how Bradman did it.
I showed him a wonderful straight drive, and he gave it a bit of a go. And he says, "You like cricket?" I said, "Cricket is the greatest game on the planet, Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, I'm telling you right now, the greatest game on the planet is cricket." And in true American sports athlete style, he replied, "Yeah, but there's no money in it." He's right. There's no money.
Yeah, good point. Unless you're an Indian.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Hey, so we've been talking about Cena's year to date. There's one date left. Saturday night's main event next weekend. Gunther is locked and loaded. I remember the first time we talked about this a few months ago, and I hadn't heard the rumor of Gunther potentially being that final opponent. You enlightened me. I bought in. You got to the point where you said maybe Jay or LA Knight was going to be it. Right? Came close, but didn't quite happen. Gunther is the final opponent. And once again, in true IWC style, people aren't happy about this.
Oh, dicks.
I am happy about this. And the point is this. I don't care who was going to be booked for the final match. There was always going to be a lot of discussion, a lot of disagreement over this one. To me, it does feel like the right call. We've spoken again in recent weeks of Chris Jericho being able to claim that he was the only man to have beaten The Rock and the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Did I say the Stone Cold Steve Austin? Should be a t-shirt. The Stone Cold Steve Austin in one night. Gunther's going to have that opportunity. Yes, he's retired Goldberg. He hasn't been talking about the fact that he's retired Goldberg, probably because Goldberg's been a little bit of a sook, so they don't want to say his name on TV too much. It's going to be different with Cena. I think we're going to hear Gunther talking about this time after time after time over the next few years. I am most excited about this match because, yes, it is John Cena's last match. So what's he going to do? He is going to make it an absolute banger. This will be WrestleMania level matchup with Gunther. I don't know what they've got planned. I can't even comprehend what sort of how this match is going to look. But man, this is going to be a real barn burner. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I don't think you'll be talking about it for years to come because I think John Cena's winning. And I'm judging that off the promo that Gunther cut post SmackDown. And look, I've been wrong. I thought we were heading towards an LA Knight John Cena match. I don't know why. It's just a feeling that I had with the LA Knight character and where he was going. I've seen the grifters online. I think it's just because Gunther is clearly Paul Levesque's boy, right? Like he's the guy that Paul Levesque sees, I believe, as the guy. Like,
well, he was everyone's boy 2 years ago. I don't understand why these people are upset now.
Dion, if he worked in AEW, they'd be calling him the greatest wrestler on the planet. I'm sure he'd have bangers with Will Ospreay, Claudia Castagnoli, and John Moxley. He'd be amazing, and he is amazing. He's the most believable heel in pro wrestling. Show me a more believable heel. You can't. Okay, he is the number one heel in the world of professional wrestling because people hate him. Right?
That's the mug.
Correct.
The mug on him.
He's so good. And he's been through adversity this year, right? Bounced back from it. And I don't think he needs the John Cena rub. If anything, especially if they're heading towards Brock versus Gunther at WrestleMania, which a lot of people are, if anything, his character actually benefits more from losing to John Cena in John Cena's final match. Because that will be the weight on his shoulders that he's going to have to release at some point. And I just have this feeling that John Cena's going out a winner. I don't know why, and I certainly don't think that John probably cares. In fact, I think he's probably pushing more towards a Gunther win. But this is all about storytelling. And when you think about it, and we've talked about how John Cena's going to make someone in his last match, Gunther's already made. And I know that the storyline makes sense. I retired Goldberg and John Cena in the same year. And I think, what did he say? John Cena, I'm going to put you to sleep. I'm going to make you tap. I don't know, man. I think we're going to see Super Cena. I think we're going to see him kick out of like 5 power bombs and 3 missile drop kicks. And he's not going to, I think John Cena's winning this match. And look, I've been wrong before, and I'm probably wrong. But it's okay to think different. And look, Sting went out a winner, right? Sting and Darby Allin beat the Young Bucks in their last match. If anyone deserves to win their final match in professional wrestling, it's John Cena. And at the same time, you can develop a storyline with Gunther that he isn't invincible. He does have flaws. He lost to CM Punk. He tapped out to Jey Uso. Like, is he this unstoppable machine? How does Gunther prove that? By beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So that is the storyline that I'm convincing myself that I'm hoping they're going to tell.
Yeah,
and I think John Cena, of every professional wrestler that's ever had a retirement match, he is one dude that deserves to win. And Gunther does not need this win, doesn't need it. And I think we as fans, we need that moment of the 1, 2, 3 when John Cena gets it in his final match.
Well, that's interesting, and I can see that happening. I think it would be a great way for the show to end, but I don't believe that'll happen, and here's why. So, look, notwithstanding the fact that John Cena debuted in WWE in the mid-2000s, I think he's still got very old school thinking. So the scenario in my head, if Cena is going over, if it's been predetermined that that's what's happening, everyone's on board. Cena's on board. Triple H is on board. Gunther's certainly on board. Late in the match, Gunther puts the sleeper on. Cena says, yeah, put the sleeper on. I'll get up. I'll hit you with the AA. We'll go home. Whatever the case may be. Sleeper's on. Cena taps out anyway. Because I can't imagine Cena wants to leave without putting someone over. I don't think it's in his DNA. I don't think it's in his DNA.
He's put over Dom.
He's put over Dom. He'll put over Gunther in the final match. I can't see him winning on the way out the door. I really can't. I think that will go against everything that he's wanting to achieve. And I think if he went over Gunther, I think John Cena is the kind of guy that would regret that for the rest of his life. I really do.
Don't you think he's also this kind of guy who does what's best for business? And look, I'm playing devil's advocate somewhat here, but if Paul Levesque believes and the booking team believe in their heart of hearts that the best thing is for Gunther to be vulnerable, and we've seen him vulnerable this year with the bloody nose CM Punk, couldn't get the job done against Punk and tapping out to Jay. Like if that's what John, I feel like John would do what his boss basically feels is like best of his. I agree with you. I've always felt John Cena was going to put someone over in his last match, but the promo that Gunther cut on SmackDown like put this seed in my head. It just felt like that typical heel that John's had to fight, like a Hulk Hogan or a John Cena has had to fight their whole career, that hurdle that they have to beat. And I just think this is all around a Brock Lesnar Gunther WrestleMania match. You've got Brock Lesnar. I'm the guy that John Cena could never conquer. He couldn't beat me. I destroyed him at SummerSlam. I destroyed him at WrestlePalooza. I am the one guy he couldn't beat. And I also, by the way, was the first person to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And then you've got Gunther on the other side. Could not get over John Cena in his last match. How the hell is he going to beat the Beast? And as the first person to put the Beast to sleep with the sleeper hold. Maybe I'm playing too much. Maybe I'm playing too much WWE 2K, right? But I just feel like that is a story you can tell, and that makes Gunther way bigger than just beating John Cena. Whatever happens after that. So, look, maybe Brock and Gunther isn't the plan. It certainly sounds like it is from most of the reports that I see, but that's where this is coming from me. It's how I'm thinking about it in terms of Gunther needs that vulnerability in a match against Brock Lesnar that he might not have if he does conquer John Cena. Yeah.
Yeah, good argument. It makes sense from a story perspective, but on the flip side, so does Gunther retiring Goldberg, retiring John Cena, and then going over Brock Lesnar. Who not who's next, it'll be who's left. But I suppose at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, who am I?
John Cena. Be hilarious if it was.
All right, you ready to rumble?
Yes.
Before my wrestling career took off, I was a professional football player, briefly playing for the LA Raiders in 1990. I debuted in the Global Wrestling Federation in 1992 and quickly won tag team gold with Bobby Duncombe Jr. I went on to wrestle in Mexico as Vampiro Americano, winning the FILL Heavyweight Championship. I debuted in WWF in 1995 and am one of the few individuals who's achieved WWE's Grand Slam, having held the WWE Championship, Intercontinental Championship, John Bradshaw Layfield.
JBL.
And the tie-in with John Cena, of course, is after that record-breaking, astounding WWE Championship run. No one in their right mind thought this guy would be WWE Champion.
Yeah.
He holds it for a record length of time on SmackDown, drops it to John Cena at WrestleMania 21 for Cena's first of 17 world championships.
It's really interesting that you've picked JBL and you talked about that WrestleMania 21, because as we head into WrestleMania 42, that WrestleMania 21, if you recall, was very much a changing of the guard and the true start of Ruthless Aggression era, right?
Yeah.
Batista went over Triple H and John Cena went over JBL, and those two gentlemen carried the WWE along with Randy Orton, and for a little bit of that time, Kurt Angle, before obviously all the stuff that he went through, and Edge as well, through the next sort of 3 or 4 years of WWE. And I wonder, actually, as you bring that up, and I'm certainly hoping for some form of reset come WrestleMania 42 and sort of a promotion of youth with the likes of Obafemi, with the likes of Braun Breaker and what have you. So really interesting that you picked JBL as we head 21 years later, moving into what hopefully is the new era of WWE, because that was a significant turning point in the trajectory of WWE in the mid-2000s.
Yeah, it's a good shout that. There's been a lot of talk over the last few months of the young guys not being put over, and look at all these old guys at the top of the card. That's always the way it's been. I mean, geez, when we were first fans, it was Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Ted DiBiase who were all already vets. They were vets for quite some time. When you've got a CM Punk, a Cody Rhodes, a Roman Reigns, a John Cena, a Randy Orton at the top of the card, don't be mad. You need these guys to pull the young ones up. That sounds terrible. How old am I? You got to pull the young ones up.
Yeah, and look, and what's the greatest era in pro wrestling for a lot of people? The Attitude Era, right?
You know what's not the greatest era? 1995, because there weren't those guys to pull them up.
Correct. And the Attitude Era, Stone Cold, Brett, and you can look at even WCW, right, with Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all those guys. They were all in their late 30s, some of them early 40s. So like even back then, aside from The Rock, Undertaker, all those guys, aside from The Rock, they were all pretty old. So like sometimes you need that synergy of veterans versus new faces. And I think if you look at WWE's roster right now, Dion, they're in that position now where they have all these vets, much like in 2005 when John Cena became world champion, Batista became world champion, Randy Orton was coming through. They had The Undertaker, they had Mark Henry, they had Kurt Angle, they had Shawn Michaels, they had JBL, they had R.I.P. Eddie Guerrero. They had Triple H, but they also had those young dudes. Now they're in that same, and it feels like that reset happens every sort of 15, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
As we move into the next era, and we're there now. The OVW class, Randy Orton's the only survivor, certainly in WWE, right? So that Ruthless Aggression era, Randy Orton's the one guy remaining. Maybe Chris Jericho if he does return, as we all think. So. Yeah, really interesting you picked JBL because I think we're at that transition period for pro wrestling, which is really exciting. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Look at NXT, man. Like, and I'm about to talk about Saturday night's main event. Obafemi, Ricky Saints, tremendous. Sol Ruka, tremendous. Like
Javon Evans, man.
Javon Evans is a dude. Leon Slater, oh my God. And look at AEW, Kevin Knight, Will Ospreay. They've got some great young talent as well. Danny Garcia is a great talent. So we should all be excited about the future of professional wrestling. And I feel we are at that 2005 point, which sort of painted what was going to happen for the next 2 decades.
Good shout that. That being said, the Tu Meke Trophy is going to a veteran.
Well, it should, because we're celebrating John Cena, so it should go to a veteran.
We are. This week, Natty Neidhart, the low-key legend. We're not talking about Natalia, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about the low-key legend, Natty Neidhart. I don't know if you caught this promo, Brad, on WWE television this week. Gritty, raw, that old-school coach, Natty Neidhart and there with Maxine Dupree. This feels long overdue. Natty's reinvented herself on the indie scene. She's been a part of Bloodsport around WrestleMania weekend. She's a completely different character than what we see on WWE television.
She's a badass.
She is a badass, and she is a badass. So we get to be able to see this, and man, I cannot wait for fans around the world to be able to experience this.
Yeah, and while she's not trained in MMA, she can legit hurt people. Right. So, and that character wearing the black with the natty down the middle, she could be babyface, she could be heel, she'd be somewhere in between. Certainly, if anyone deserves a mid-card title run, it's Natty Neidhart. She can bring credibility to that title. She can defend it in TNA, in AAA, in Pro Wrestling Noah, in Bloodsport. Who knows? So, I don't know if that's where they're heading. If at some point Coach gets pissed with trainee and ends up saying, actually, that title will look pretty good around my waist come WrestleMania season. So, but you're right, man. Everyone needs to reinvent themselves. The ultimate reinventor has been Chris Jericho over the years, and Natty has been Natalia for 20 years. And so, nigh on 20 years, like 2009, 2010, I think the New Heart Foundation debuted, right? And she was their manager. So love it. And I don't know, there's just something about someone wearing black with those wrestling boots that just makes me believe that they're going to kick your ass.
Yeah. And you know what? She reminds me of a little bit of a Cena. She has had a prolific career. She hasn't had 17 world championships, but a very prolific career. And to me, she's always felt like the kind of woman who wants to bring the younger talent along for the ride. She's always championed them, right? So I love that she's getting involved in this reinvention of Maxine Dupree, which it really has been a pleasure to watch.
You've seen the images, right? Like of a wrestling, her and Tyson, her husband, own a wrestling school, and you can see all the young vets. I think I've even seen Mercedes Moné train there as well. So I know Bailey works out there. who dropped the Ring of Honor title.
Who dropped the title?
Yes.
Wow.
Lost the match. Holy crap. Yeah.
All right, well, what have we got if we look ahead in the world of professional wrestling, Brad?
Well, I'll get to the local scene shortly, but let's just run through a few upcoming dates. December 14, John Cena's last match, which will be against Gunther, and as confirmed on NXT Deadline, Cody Rhodes will meet the new two-time NXT champion Obafemi, who beat Ricky Saints in the opening match of Deadline. Fantastic match, by the way. Go check that out on Netflix. I don't know about you, Dion. Obafemi beats Cody Rhodes either clean or with Drew McIntyre interference. Has to happen. It's a non-title match. It's a non-title match. So there's no title on the line. Obafemi has to not lose this match. Like cannot be pinned by Cody Rhodes. Cannot happen because Obafemi is one of these dudes that I'm talking about, that I've been talking about this entire show, about the future. And oh my God, take my money if I was paying for it. Well, I am because I pay my Netflix subscription. Bailey versus Sol Ruka. And again, we talk about the future of the women's division. Man, Sol Ruka is the most unique talent. If you do not watch NXT, go on YouTube and just look at Sol Ruka's finisher because it is so sick. A lot of people talk about how it's not believable. I don't care. Like, it's pro wrestling. None of it's believable because we all know it's fake, douche. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the most unbelievable move in pro wrestling. No one could ever get caught in that.
Unlike a Canadian destroyer, which you see in street fights all the time.
If you put me in a full Nelson, I'm going to get out of that shit real quick. This is not real fighting. It's professional wrestling. It doesn't matter if it doesn't look like it's real. Like the Stone Cold Stunner would never work in a real fight. Or maybe it would, but you can't RKO someone out of nowhere in a real fight. So Sol Ruka is awesome. So that card's shaping up real well. By all accounts, it's going to be about a 2.5 hour card. So I'd imagine they'll chuck in maybe a tag team match in there potentially. I don't know. We'll see how WWE plays that out. But at the moment, Cody versus Oba, Bailey versus Sol Ruka, and John Cena versus Gunther. Here for that. That's on December 14th. December 28th, AEW World's End. That's where the women's tag team champions will be crowned. And there'll be a couple other matches, no doubt. Well, actually probably about 14 or 15 matches on that 7-hour card by the time it's done. But keep watching this space for this as matches get announced. We will talk about it. Wrestle Kingdom 20D on January 4th. We don't talk a lot about New Japan on the show, but Jan 4, 2026, a monumental day in the history of Japanese pro wrestling. Look, the main event is Konosuke Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji, but Tanahashi's last match against one of the greatest wrestlers of the last 15 years in Okada. That should be an absolute barn burner of a match. And if you're a pro wrestling fan, you need to watch that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, Wrestle Kingdom is the WrestleMania of the Japanese wrestling scene, right? So January 4, get your eyes around it. Yeah,
absolutely. Tanahashi, he's a hell of a great legend of Japanese pro wrestling, and Takeshita is an absolute barn burner of a wrestler. He's in the main of, well, I'm guessing Tanahashi and Okada are main event, but their title match as well. Closer to home, Dion, December 13th. CPW Festive Beatings, great name for a card, 6 p.m. from the Garage 16 in Upper Hutt. Tickets from Event Finder. There is a 3 stages of hell match for the CPW Championship, ACJ versus Dusty Briggs. But there is a match here that has raised my interest. It's a TLC match. TLC, you say? Well, Dion, given it's Christmas, CPW celebrating Christmas with a tinsel, lights, and candy canes match between Mark Morales and Ryan Zero. I love that. Absolutely love it. Love it. Tinsel, lights, and candy canes. I'm here for it. And the Nightmare Before Christmas, IPW's traditional December show, 6:30 p.m. from the Mount Eden War Memorial Hall. Tickets from Flickit. Jay Rilla versus James Shaw for the New Zealand Heavyweight Championship. Mighty Maya defends against Amber Saint for the IPW Women's Championship. SAS, Alex Savage and Will Stone versus the Sigma Collective, Jack Maximum and Peter Prince. And the Warner Cup, Horace versus Pariah. There's also an I Quit match between Jake Sheehan and Sir Mr. Burns. That should be actually a banger of a card that the IPW is shaping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's not too long now before Santa comes, but a lot of wrestling between now and then.
Yes, indeed. And we're in Royal Rumble season, my favorite event of the year.
Yeah.
Cannot wait for us to talk about that as we open up 2026 at some point, Tim.
All right, folks, if you want to know a little bit more about us or the show, please head along to our website, www.thatsweetpop.com. Episodes drop right here on YouTube Mondays at 8 p.m. And if you want to get your ears around it, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or check us out on socials on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Right, as we record this right now, Brad, we are about 1 week to the minute away from John Cena's final match. Let's talk all about Saturday night's main event next week. What are you most looking forward to next Sunday as we watch it?
I'm looking forward to Sol Ruka versus Bailey. I think that's going to be a barn burner. And I'm looking forward to seeing my storyline of John Cena beating Gunther come true, Dion.
We should have put a bit of money on it or something.
No.
Yeah, I'll think about that. All right, folks, thank you so much for sticking with us. We look forward to seeing you again next week. But until then, have a good one.
You can't see me.